Okay, this snowy speaker tip is about physiology, and as you can see, I'm moving around at the moment. I'm using my physiology to keep warm because we're in sub-zero temperatures here, and I'm not on a stage moving in front of you, keeping my dynamics up. I'm actually having to stay still here, and so I'm using my physiology in a slightly different way. And I want to just remind you, if you don't know this already, then you may want to make a note here, that there was communication research done in the 60s and 70s by a couple of researchers looking at the way human beings communicate between each other. And depending on who you speak to, there are different schools of thought on the actual numbers, but roughly the numbers shake out like this. The impact of the way we communicate is broken into three things: our physiology, our tonality, which is our voice, and the actual words that we speak. And I want to talk about the physiology now, just to give you an idea of the breakdown of that. The research suggested that the impact of the way we communicate breaks down into 55% of the impact of communication comes through the physiology, the movement, the tonality in our and tension in our muscles, the way we breathe, the way we move our bodies, the way we even blink, the intensity that we have in our eyes. All these things form our physiology. 38% of communication was impacted through the tonality in our voices, how we vary our voices. And as you know, if you're watching this video right now, I'm out in the snow, so I'm having to use my tonality in a certain range. I don't have the subtleties that I can use in front of an audience with a microphone because I'm having to project out. I'm not wearing a microphone right now. And the last one, 7% of communication is impacted by the words we say. So the biggest impact comes from our physiology, and this is vital to you as a speaker on stage. Now, you don't have to be jumping around like this and doing all these things. However, you do have to learn to use your physiology in a way that engages your audience. You have a space. For some of you, it may be a massive stage. For some of you, it may be a small area. In this case, I've literally got a tiny area here to keep my distance between myself and the camera so that I can fit into this section here. My head may be jumping up and down a little bit outside of it. So the way you use your physiology makes a massive impact on your audience. If you stand there for a while just in front of your audience like this, and you say, yeah, well, I'm really enthusiastic about this subject, it's something I'm going to speak to you about for the next 5 hours, your audience are probably going to think, oh my goodness me, this person here is not particularly enthusiastic, and certainly the way they look and the way they move doesn't show any level of enthusiasm. However, if you walk up to your audience, you can still be in one position, creating that level of certainty we've talked about in some of the other sections of these videos. You can still be in one position, but you can use the upper part of your physiology and your intention, which is a physiological energy that comes through you. You can project that to your audience, and you can say, well, good evening, everybody. Well, if it was evening and you're going to speak for 5 hours, that could be a long session. So let's start with the morning. Good morning, everybody. My name's Dr. Rohan Weerasinghe, and I'm here to talk to you about the power of communicating with other people. And I'm going to spend the next 5 hours showing you all the tools necessary to get you started in becoming a great speaker in front of your audiences. Now, you can see there that I was using my tonality and I was using my physiology. My arms were moving in a certain way. You can literally shift your physiology from one place to another. You could be engaging your audience here by reaching out, and your physiology is sending energy through to them here, and that's excluding this part of the room. So if you're wanting to share a message with the whole group, you need to keep your physiology open. But if you're wanting to narrow down, maybe you're talking to a certain part of the room here, and you say, for example, this table earlier on, we were talking, and what we discovered was this, that 3 or 4 of these people here had a great fear of standing up in front of their audiences. Now, now watch, as I open up my physiology, I'm sure many of you in this room have a similar experience. In fact, one of the greatest fears that we have as an audience, one of the greatest fears we have as human beings is to stand in front of an audience and communicate and to speak. It's one of the greatest fears. I'm using my physiology and I'm opening up here to let people know that it's okay to experience that, but also to open it up to the room as well. So whether you drop down to a low position here, whether you lean back and you look thoughtful, maybe you sit on a chair while you're talking to your audience, you lower your energy. Sometimes if anybody comes and watches me speak, often I'll sit on a high stool, and that's a place I like to go to share stories and messages. So I may sit there for 5 minutes on a high stool and share a story and talk about an experience, and that's a different type of physiology again. I then may stand up and move to a different part of the room to present and give a different message. So your physiology, the way you move around a stage, the way you move in front of your audience, has a massive impact on the message that you're giving. So start to practice that. And a way to do this, as I've talked about in many of the other videos, is to get out in front of somebody and actually try it. So try it as though it's a one-on-one. Try it when the next time you're speaking to a group of people. Move to a different place in the room, give a different message, move to a different part of the room, give a different message over here. Try dropping your energy down and seeing what impact that has on the way you deliver. Try lifting your body energy up and delivering in a different way. And imagine that the energy in your body is flowing through you and out to your audience. And all that is part of your physiology. So get out, practice that. Very powerful tool.